Totally.
That was a total rant all about that.
No, that's a perfect rant, and I can apply it to my life. And I know there's a certain instance where, I think on both fields we feel like we're not giving each other enough attention, and it's so needed, and it's valuable. It's what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that it is so important to make sure that nothing gets any worse. Like, it's so important to resolve these little things.
Yeah.
Because they are existing and they never have before.
And I would say, and again, we don't really want to get into the pandemic, but I have to say to the audience, not that we have an audience, but now more than ever.
If anyone hears this, they are our audience, and let's appreciate you. Thank you for listening, because if you hear us, you are our audience, we thank you.
I guess by the time anyone does listen to this, that
is an audience. Yeah.
Truth. But in these times of 6 feet apart and socially distancing and lockdowns or whatever, it's more important than ever to keep up those friendships. Because, like, it's, they're needed. And they're more important now than ever with everything going on in the world. That's all I want to say on that. So, like, find the time for your friends, even in this crazy time that we're living in.
Totally.
Yeah. So I feel like, I don't want to feel like I ignored what you're doing right now for work and your life.
No,
okay.
no. You haven't ignored anything.
Okay. I just want to put that out there.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. Is this exciting?
It is exciting.
It should be talked about. All right. So I did more research because that's what I do. This came from a website called Power of Positivity, so I'm sure it'll come out at some point too. That, like, I feel like Power of Positivity, it's like energies. It's a research paper, so it's not, but, like, there are going to be times that come out with my craziness and the whole energies and science.
It's not craziness, so you should
wavelengths.
Speak about it that way.
Okay. So Power of Positivity wanted to educate me and us on 11 signs of a true friendship. And maybe we should judge.
Ooh.
Along the way.
We'll check. Like, maybe a hand right means yes, left means no, or vice versa.
Got this.
Not to be leftist.
If it'll
or
even
rightist
work.
Or whatever.
It's nothing to do with that. We're not talking red or blue.
No, I meant the whole right-handed.
Left-handed? I thought, like, red and right and left, like, political
parties. No,
blue and red.
This is not for politics.
Like handed. Like what hand you write with?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I meant.
Okay, so the first one that says is they accept everything about you, including your flaws. Wait.
Let's do outside.
Okay. Yes, 100%. I don't really want to read too much about this, but basically, obviously, like, they don't want you to change, and they embrace everything about you. And we embrace it. Like, we're both crazy. In a positive, good way.
Yeah.
In a quirky way.
Yeah.
We're quirky. That's more of a word than crazy. In different ways are we quirky, but we both are very quirky. I think.
And we can maybe untuck the negativity around crazy, too.
Yes.
Because, like, I'm a little bit crazy, but I don't mean it to be so bad. But maybe it is.
Yeah, I'm not doing no, like, psycho shit. I'm crazy. But I'm not, like, doing no psycho shit, if that makes sense. I think that's the difference. I think a negative, crazy context would be, like, if you're thinking of that girl.
Like conniving.
Yeah, that's conniving, that's setting you up, or the one that's, like, crazy in the way of, like, they're smashing windows.
Conniving, destructive, negative.
Aggressive.
Abusive, aggressive.
None of that.
Yeah. But you could still be, like, outrageous.
Yes.
But not outrageously aggressive.
Not psycho. We're crazy, not psycho. I'm crazy. It's true. Number 2, they stick with you through both the good...
But I also don't want... Sorry, psycho.
Okay.
I don't want psycho to be... I don't like saying psycho dismissively. I think psycho is a very strong term and word, and maybe someone is actually a psycho and they're not terrible.
It's true.
Because you can have a lot of psychotic behaviors and actions and feelings, but actually, perhaps, who knows how many people have that under control? You wouldn't know that because it's under control. Just a little food for thought.
Yeah, no, and as like someone who works in mental health, but I feel like the definition of a psycho is not actually fully related to the same definition you would have of someone like going through a psychotic break
for sure.
or psychosis.
Okay.
Like
and
I
you
think
would know. I know.
Psycho to me is short form for like being psychopathic.
And that's not a very good thing.
And that's where like those are the people who
Because I have
often...
a very good friend, and I will admit this, and you already know this. I have a very good friend that I believe is psychopathic.
I think your friend might be narcissistic
Yes.
and might have more diagnoses around like borderline personality disorder, maybe like bipolar.
Yeah.
Could even be like schizophrenic. But anyways. The heart on the chest.
So I just thought it was relevant to talk about that for a quick sec.
Well, I mean, and I recognize I casually throw out way too many comments. It's a coping mechanism from, like being told by every man I've ever dated my entire life
sure,
that I'm
but now's
crazy
the
and I'm
time.
psycho and all that kind of stuff. So it's just like, yeah.
And now's the time to dissect it.
Dissect it.
That's it.
Or maybe not dissect it, but like...
Well, address
change it. Address it.
Address
change it. Confidence. So we didn't vote, I think, because you had something you wanted to say.
I voted.
Did you? They stick with you through both the good times and the bad?
Oh. Well, we went 1 and 2.
I think we're just like thumbing
I
it.
voted.
Yeah. I think you said something as...
That was number 2. That was number 3.
Yeah. They're happy for your successes and congratulate you when you reach a new goal.
1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah, thumb 3. I thought we were just like thumbing it to say, yeah, we got this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got this. Your hands are green.
What? Oh, it's from, these are new jeans.
Oh, your jeans. Oh, okay. No, I bring it up because health concern.
Yeah.
Like,
No, at
that's
first
why.
I'm like, oh my god, I'm losing all the blood flow
Yes!
in my hands.
Okay, good.
But then I just remembered, these are new jeans.
I knew that's happening.
I'm
yeah.
anxiously rubbing hand on legs, and it's actually...
Then I'm sorry to bring, but it's because I love you.
No, and I
That's
appreciate the concern. I really do.
That's why.
So I have something to say on this one, because I think that people get very confused with, I think it can be normal and completely okay to feel a bit of like jealousy sometimes when your friends get things happening in their lives that you want to have in your own life. I don't think that makes you a bad friend. I think the difference is how you respond to those emotions. Does that make sense? Like,
I think
if
so.
you're hoping to be married one day and your friend gets married, obviously,
Yeah, like I've been to.
it's
If I take a moment to
Yeah.
finish your thought, yes, I've been to so many weddings, and of course, every single time I go, there's a little moment where, but I'm never unhappy or unjoyful for my friend.
right.
But I definitely feel a bit of sadness with their happiness. But it's not jealousy. It's kind of like, it could be portrayed as jealousy, but it's kind of just, I guess that is jealousy.
And I think it's okay if it's jealousy. Not saying that's what it has to be for you.
Yeah, but I don't really. But is that definition of jealousy of like, oh, I want that? Oh, that's I just clicked from my head.
Yeah.
No, it took a moment.
Yeah.
It took a moment.
But
Yeah,
my
but
point
I'm
is,
still-
it's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where people get confused. It's like, you're always supposed to just like feel every emotion of happiness for the good things that your friends have going on. And I think that it's also completely normal as a human to feel jealous
Yeah.
sometimes.
And I know what it feels normal.
Right?
Yes.
And I don't think what matters is that feeling of jealousy. It's what you do with it, right? So
Right.
you've been a part of, I think, quite a few weddings, right? I have not one ever, but... And when you feel that, it's not about not feeling that. It's about, like, you're still genuinely happy for your friend in that process, and you're still genuinely happy to be there celebrating that day with them and to help them out in every way that you can, and you truly wish them all the best of luck. That's what matters. So that's just the one thing I wanted to say about this one, because I think that sometimes people feel like they're maybe not a good friend if they feel any bit of jealousy or
perhaps
sadness around that. And I think that can make people like doubt them being a good friend. I'm not saying that's true. I don't know.
Yeah, that could happen, absolutely.
But I know, like, I've struggled because it's like you sometimes see in the movies or read in the articles where people like, you should just always be happy for your friends, and you should be. But I think that
it discounts the moment that you are allowed to have when you can appreciate your own feelings for a second, but make sure that that doesn't impede on the happiness of your friends.
Exactly. So that's what I wanted to say on that. Just because I don't want people thinking like, you don't always got to fake it. You feel how you feel sometimes, and it's not a problem to feel how you feel. Mm-hmm. It's always what you do with that feeling, mm-hmm. right? And that's part of making a friendship last, is recognizing that. It says you feel totally comfortable around them, and they probably know things about you that most others don't. Yeah.
I think we're gonna just like pass this test from
definitely.
what I can feel.
Definitely there. True friendships meet you halfway. They don't expect you to always be the one to reach out to them. Mm-hmm. You got that? Definitely. Mm-hmm. They make you feel happier and more alive, not drained and stressed.
That is true.
100%. That is like a sentence that perfectly describes what you have been adding to my life lately.
Aww. And that's why we do this.
100%.
That is why we do this. I agree.
They tell you the truth about things, even when you may not want to hear it.
True?
Totally true. We've had some serious conversations lately.
That's love.
It totally...
To me, that is my deepest love. And I think for you the same.
100%. And I think, again, it's the fact that we ensure that we approach each other with these conversations with love and respect and understanding and an openness. To create the dialogue around it too, right? Mm-hmm. They don't blow things out of proportion when you make a mistake. They forgive you. Real friendships mean they don't talk about you behind your back. I would definitely agree with that one. Aside from maybe when we were little kids. Little kids are assholes. Just no offense to any of you with little kids, but like, let's be real. I think they're even worse now. Cyberbullying, like the statistics on cyberbullying and how many kids are like struggling with mental health because of bullying. It's all super, super sad. I'm super glad we did not grow up in a time where that could happen.
So lucky. We're like the last. We are the last gen to not have grown up in elementary school with cyberbullying.
Yeah, 100%.
Truly.
Yeah. And I mean, we did in high school. It started to become a thing.
Because I remember MSN, like, chat and even cell phones started for us, like, grade 7 and grade 8, which was, like, texting a little bit.
Yeah,
and
but not much.
But then the internet, MSN, widespread chat, I think, for me, it happened between grade 8 into grade 9. It was, like, right on the cusp of going into high school. So it was almost kind of like going into high school was, like, graduated where you could now talk to everyone. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't like that. It just happened to be that way for us.
And the start of it wasn't even, like, really ways you could super bully. Because, like, someone could so easily just be like, I'm signing out of MSN. Like, it wasn't the same thing where it was, like, a social media platform you could bully through. It couldn't be anonymous.
Yeah. You can really attack someone.
Super attack someone. Like, we definitely grew up in a time where that wasn't as... Not to say there wasn't bullying. We definitely had bullying. Just, I couldn't imagine. Because the point with nowadays is, like, kids never get to escape it. Right? They go to school and they're bullied in person. And then they go home...
On their way home.
And they're still getting bullied when they're on their own. Like, when we went to elementary school, once you were done your school day, if the bully, like, you didn't live beside the bully or with the bully, like, you're not being bullied anymore. You're completely separate from it.
Yeah, and you could actually never go, like,
They don't get that break anymore. It's constant.
Oh, gosh. But that is life. I mean, it's good prep for life, but that just means you're breeding a lot of people who are on edge, and I've only kind of been on edge most recently, and it's not a great place to feel.
No, you're gonna
or
have your
be.
guard up. It's gonna be harder to trust people.
Yeah,
all
to
that
have it
stuff,
to live with your guard up, although it be necessary, it's not great.
No, not at all. Number 10 says they allow you to have other friendships without getting jealous and possessive. I definitely would agree with that one.
I missed that. I zoned out for 2 seconds.
They allow you to have other friendships without getting jealous and possessive.
100%. Easy.
Oh, and this one's interesting because it does talk about how you would feel. It's because you feel confident enough in your friendship that you're not worried about, which makes complete sense. Because again, friendships
We've gone through so much.
have so many similarities, the same things. We
As
are able to recognize an intimate relationship with a partner, but for some reason in friendships,
It's
we
the
lack
exact
to
same
see
thing.
that.
No, it is 100% the exact same thing.
Yeah, it is. Just minus the intimacy on a sharing body level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, and that's
There's
why
still
it's
intimacy.
supposed to be, or like I don't want to say it's supposed to be. That's perhaps why in history it's like reserved for like way later, because then every boyfriend and girlfriend is essentially the same. You're just all getting to know each other, and then you pick your partner you're gonna be with forever.
Yeah, forever. Scary thought.
I know, but I miss that idea.
The last one they have here is you have so many inside jokes and funny memories with them that you lost count.
I think we should up our game on the inside joke type area,
Yeah.
because we don't really do. That's not our thing.
No.
And then we don't have to.
No, because I feel
We
like
don't have to.
we joke enough and laugh enough without it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
we
we don't
have
need
like
it.
on the fly shit.
I think it's more about like that third eye connection where we can make jokes and just be on the same level so that we're laughing at the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas not everyone's on the. It could also be described as being on the same page.
Yeah.
Like we're just often on the same page. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't even know how. I don't think I'm really an inside joke kind of person.
Yeah, I think it's maybe misword, like, because I'm trying to think.
Like, John and I have a few things that are like our little quirks or little cute things with each other that I guess are like inside jokes.
That would be an inside joke.
But.
And I guess if we were to go anywhere and I were to, like, point at something and be like, haha, you know what I'm looking at, that's an inside joke. But we don't go out because of things. So you know where to go. So that couldn't happen.
It's true. Oh, I need to put this leg down for a moment. I'm getting old. Oh, okay. So, interestingly enough, then I thought another topic, I'm sure we'll get better at flowing these topics in more together, is the idea of...
Show my...
What just happened?
Nothing. No, the flow is... The next time you'll know what happened.
Okay. Is being friends with someone of the opposite sex. And this one is interesting to me because you and I both have friends of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
But very different stories.
But I have multiple, you know.
Valid. But if you were to
similar
say like a
stories.
true... Again, someone you would put in like a best friend category.
I have at least 2.
Males. Yeah. And likely there's those stories of how that happened.
Is from a relationship.
Yeah, and mine is not. Neither of my 2 male friends. Although one I'm not as close with lately, pretty much since the pandemic.
Yeah. I don't have any.
But, you know, I think that's a conversation to have. Because a lot of people, and I've met these people, and when I was doing the research, I read some articles on it too, where it's like, it's a whole thing out there. Like, is it okay to be friends with someone of the opposite sex?
Right.
Can you be friends with someone of the opposite sex? Like, is that possible? You know what I mean? Like, it's out there a lot of the times, and it's crazy to me. So I find that interesting because I have 2 close male friends that I would consider good friends, one of which I don't see at all anymore. and don't stay in much contact with since the pandemic. The other of which I don't see face to face. We haven't seen each other face to face in quite some time, but we keep in pretty consistent contact. And yeah, so I think that that's an interesting thing. But with me, with both of them, and especially the one, well, not especially, but I'm going to focus more on the one that I still have.
T?
Yes, T, my buddy T. Because I find it funny because people have never believed, and we've had times, so when we first met, became friends, he was married, and I was single. And then I was with someone, he was still married, but and I was with someone when him and his wife separated. But I feel like we were single at some point at the same time too. But anyways, people throughout that know us both have always said things to us about like, you know, there's nothing there, you guys would be great, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's hard for people to actually believe the idea of two people being from the opposite sex and having a friendship and not having a sexual attraction to each other.
Because even now, I have to ask you, are you sure he's not just in love with you?
I'm 100% positive.
And it was still a burning question, so it must be, like, human nature. Like, it obviously is.
Yeah. And, like, we've had like, that's the thing,
and
too.
I know, you know? And I
you've
still
met
had
him.
to ask.
Yeah. And it's funny because he and I have legit had open conversations where we've talked about, like, the fact that people think this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And, like, where we stand on it and, like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I know he's a dude. So what I do know is he has said to me, like, obviously I can recognize that you are an attractive woman. Like, I can obviously see that. Mm-hmm. But that idea of, like, being with each other, attraction, he's like, it never even existed to me because I view you as, like, a sister. Which is valid. And it's been the same thing for me. Like, I truly love this person, but it's never been, like, there. And I think it's tough, And, like, for me, it's different, potentially, than most people's stories. I don't know. I think there are people out there who probably can't be friends with someone of the opposite sex, and there's lots of people who have tried it, and there's been complications, and whatever else. I think with me and him, part of the difference is, like, I view myself, again, when we go back to, we've had that conversation about small groups of friends. That's been my life with friendships. I've been lucky enough that I have viewed it where, like, at different times in my life, different people within that handful have stepped into my life. Mm-hmm. And they've all stepped in at a time where I've needed them. It's like that whole energies shit, third eye crap, right? Like, there's a reason why they stepped into my life, and they all added something significantly great and were exactly what I needed in that time frame. So when me and T became friends, I was at one of my lowest places when it came to, like, understanding my relationships with men and my self-worth and my confidence and all of that stuff. And he was married, and someone I viewed as being a male who truly didn't have an ulterior motive beside wanting to be a friend to me and support me.
Right.
So I believed everything he said. And in that time frame, he brought me exactly what I needed. And he helped build my self-esteem and helped me work through my relationships with men. And he was such a good support system. And he still is. We just don't see, like, we worked with each other. So we saw each other 5 days a week almost all the time. And that's not the way it is anymore. But he still brings that to the table completely. He's always there when I need him. But he also had some shit. And I was that person for him. Like, we brought each other exactly what we needed in that time frame.
So
right?
Exactly, reason, season, or lifetime. You guys are friends for life.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but that might be unique. So if I want to talk about my personal opinion on can you be friends with someone of the opposite sex, totally I think you can be. Do you know what I mean? 100%. But it's crazy to me, again, because I did all this research, and the general population out there would tell you no. They say no.
And, I mean, I would agree that my situation, although the same, is so different and unique. Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, I'm actually, I don't even know.
Well, yours are different because yours were exes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other...
I guess that's why I'm speechless, because I'm like, well, I don't really want to... Because once I start I feel like it's a whole can of worms.
So I actually made a note about how we shouldn't get too into that because...
There you go. So I read that without reading it.
Staying friends with an ex is like a whole other...
Topic.
Yeah.
I should say.
So... But you have had some success, and we'll dive into it at another point of how Julia has maintained friendships.
And some unsuccess, too.
And unsuccess with exes. And I can actually jump into that conversation, too. I've had some experiences around that. So what I did find very interesting when I did the research, though, and I'd love to know your input on this one, is there was an incredible amount of articles written on if it's acceptable or what you would do or how you feel about if you start a new relationship and the person in the relationship asks you to walk away from your friendship of someone with the opposite sex.
Oh, that's not exactly what I thought you were going to ask.
It's hugely out there.
So, well, I was going to flip it, though.
Okay.
Because I was going to more flip it on how would I respond? So it seems like it's the same question, but it's not.
No, but it is.
It's not. Because I wanted to say, well, it depends on where this friend came from.
That's okay, though.
Like, did we meet, were we introduced together, or did you come up out of nowhere after 3 months online? That's you can't just you can't say, oh, this is my good friend, don't think anything of it, when I haven't heard anything for months. So it's different. So
but I don't think it is. It's not black and white. It's not a question that has a black and white answer. It's a question that is about discussion. So I think first and foremost, I think, and I'll put this out there, if you start a relationship with someone and they are friends with someone of the opposite sex and they are, honest about it right from the hop, or let's say you're casually dating and then you find out, that's still kind of, to me, that's okay. Like, if it comes out organically and in a timely fashion, and in a respectable fashion,
that's all that matters.
That there is a friendship with someone of the opposite sex, and you tell your partner they need to walk away from that person, you are the asshole.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. Is like I would never, that part wouldn't even come into my vocabulary, which is why I had trouble with your question. Yeah, because I would have issue. But I would never, ever say those words.
And that's the difference, too. It goes back to that thing. It's similar to, when you're happy for your friends, it's normal to feel some jealousy.
Yes.
So even when you're okay...
A little bit of jealousy, see it, what it means, what it is. But to ever say you shouldn't be friends with someone, I would never, I think... So to answer your question, then, is a hard no.
Hard no.
But I wanted to say... It doesn't mean you can just, all of a sudden have a bunch of friends out of nowhere.
I would agree completely. Yeah. And I think that, again, it's not a black and white answer, but it is something to be explored because there are black and white pieces to it. You know what I mean? Like, John, right from pretty early on, I made it clear I have this friend, T, and we are close friends, and he added good things to my life. And John can recognize, you know what I mean? That could be something that feels uncomfortable, being friends with a dude. But he would never in a million years... expect me to walk away from that friendship.
No.
But I would completely respect it if, suddenly some dude's walking in. So, again, that's the point. It's not black and white, but it's crazy to me because I did read all these things where it was, simple stories where, I met this guy and super early on I met his close friend that's a female and I'm uncomfortable with it and I think it's okay to tell him he needs to stop being friends with her. No. Not at all. I think, again, if there are shady pieces, 100%. As your example was, the girl comes in 3 months later and all of a sudden they're friends.
Which is clearly it's also, it all comes back to me and my insecurities.
No,
and clearly
that is
I'm
bullshit.
with the wrong guy. No.
Okay, but that's a whole different topic.
I know.
But that is totally something to be I'm not okay with this. I think, too, if it is, and... a friend with an ex situation, I can understand why you might want to seek out more answers to questions. You might have a lot more when did you guys break up? How long has it been? That I get.
Yeah.
If they've been...
And that's something I face.
Sexually intimate with someone, you might have some more questions. That totally makes sense to me. But I don't think it is completely black and white. You know what I mean? With John, you know, my boyfriend's a skateboarder, and there are some females in the skateboarding world. And I cannot deny, I think some are skateboard bunnies that are just there to try to get the guys' attentions. Don't love these girls, but I don't really worry about them too much. But more so, my struggle is with any of the girls that want to categorize John as their friend. I'm cool with that. My issue is when these girls don't want to try to be friends with me. Mm-hmm. That's what makes me uncomfortable.
So
and again, I would never say to John, like, you can't be friends with them. But I have said to him, the fact that they're not trying to be friends with me makes me very uncomfortable.
And it's not just makes you uncomfortable, it makes it clear to their intentions.
The intentions.
And yeah, you're not wrong.
But men don't fully understand those intentions. So that is something to keep in mind, right? Like, it's not black and white. I think that is a situation that you need to work through with your partner. But you also need to be cautious and careful about setting significant boundaries down. Like, nope, opposite sex, nope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't
That's
be doing that.
Way too, like, broad stroke.
No, and it's controlling. You can't be controlling. Like, that's the bottom line. So I did some research on this one too. Compelling reasons. So again, because I talked about how my friend T added significant things to my life, to switch this from the negative concept of having a friend of the opposite sex, I did a bit of research on why it's a positive thing for us. Because I fully believe that, and this is not meant to sound like disrespectful to any gender identification either. I think that this is very much so more so based on mindset, right? Like, different mindsets bring good things to the table. And I believe that in all aspects. And I feel like that is where a friendship with someone of the opposite sex is very, can be very significant and positive for your life, because they do think differently, right? If you are a female and identifies female, then when you have a male friend who identifies as a male, like, you're getting you're, straight, then you're getting that back and forth understanding of what a woman might be thinking, what a man might be thinking, which you might not get. Like, that's the thing. Like, I can talk to you about guys all day long, and you understand so much of what I'm saying to you, and you're on the same level, and you understand my emotions and what I'm going through, but you don't understand the male side of those things, right? And that is a part of why T added so much to my life, because he so helped me understand. Not like he did a lot to help me understand a lot about myself, but when it came to my relationships with men, a lot to understand, like, that side of things. And I did the same thing for him when it came to understanding the female part of things.
Sure.
So anyways, we're switching it up. What is compelling about being friends with someone of the opposite sex? So this comes from medium.com. Because, again, third eye, all that stuff. This person can offer alternative viewpoints on various life situations that you might not receive from the same sex, offering a more diverse point of view. Completely.
That's
right?
Exactly the point you were. Yeah.
100%. Teaches you to expand your ideas of who a good friend can be. Because a good friend can be anyone, regardless of age, religion, ethnicity, or sex. About who they are inside. I didn't even notice that.
I think that's something cute, and I want to touch on this later about like, being friends with people who are significantly older, like even 50 years older than you.
Okay.
I think that would be a lovely topic to talk on.
Like age gap. I've got some friends that are older than me. And younger than me.
And
I'm the old one now. When it comes to, like, my, like, work friends, oh my god, so many of them are in their, like, early 20s, and I'm the old one. Anyways.
It's okay, let's go to Coco Bongos.
Opposite sex friendships offering different benefits than those of same sex, such as,
like, different perspective.
Yeah. Diverse friendships enrich our lives.
Because I would say, so I have two male friends of the opposite sex, and they played very different roles. one is someone that I can confide into. Well, they both are someone that I can confide into, like a confidant, a best friend. But one takes an approach of, you know what? I have an angel on my shoulder and a devil on my shoulder. And one is encouraging me to be my best self. And the other is encouraging me to be my best self. But the definition of best self is very different from both parties. So one best self is to be proper and productive and poised. And the other is to be pleasant, partying.
I totally know who
And,
is who.
And I got a third P. Pleasant, partying, and definitely not. No one expects anyone to be perfect, I would hope. I need 20 more seconds. Persistent.
Ooh, I like it.
Okay. So they both encourage different sides of me, and they both need encouragement. And I'm a Gemini, so I think, and they're both Geminis. Not.
Yeah, don't date any more Geminis.
No, I won't. No, I can't.
What was the last one? The last dude. What was he?
No, I already know it's gonna work. We don't even have to discuss. No, Geminis, I know we're like soulmates, but like soulmates for friendship. So I'm so lucky to have my two Gemini men. So I kind of feel like my love, like, no, I feel half empty still. It's true. I got little Panina.
Well, that's because we're
But-
conditioned to feel like if we don't have a significant other,
I know.
we are empty. And we're conditioned further to believe if you don't buy a house, you're empty. And if you don't get married, you're empty. And if you don't have children, you're empty. And I can tell you, I don't own a house. I am not, well, I'm still technically legally married to my ex. I haven't received the
another
official
topic.
we're divorced papers yet. It is another topic. But I don't have a house. Not married to the man I am in love with and plan to spend my life with. I don't have kids, and there is not one bit of me that cares about any of it.
Of that.
Because I guarantee you, we live a happier life than a lot of people we know that have the marriage, the house, and the kids.
I know that I live a very happy life. I know I have a very luxurious life, spending my time with my little doggy and my lovely mom, going back to school in my 30s. I'm rich with joy, and I appreciate it. I really do.
And that's part of what people need to focus on.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So this woman who wrote this article wrote, one of my biggest points though, and this is legit, I think, part of the issue in our society. In our society, there's an unfortunate connotation that any relations between a man and a woman must always turn romantic and or sexual.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason why I just lost a friend, actually. Red. We are not friends. We were friends, and now we're not, because I tried to turn it romantic.
Right.
And instead of him, in my opinion, letting me know maturely, he let me be confused for 2 years.
Which is not cool.
So that's not a friend.
No. And I don't want to ignore that that can happen. It does happen. But it can happen anywhere. It can happen when you meet a coworker you have a connection with. It can happen because you join a baseball team and you have a connection with someone. It can happen because you haven't realized that you're attracted to those of the opposite sex, and suddenly you're married with 3 kids and you realize you have fallen in love with someone of the same sex. Like, it can happen in any relationship, any friendship. That's the point of, like, be more open to these friendships of the opposite sex. As long as, like, 2, don't be hiding anything. Like, you got to be honest with your partner.
If you're not
The
hiding
moment you
anything,
lie-
you're not doing anything wrong.
Exactly.
So that is, I think, the blanket statement that really we should be understanding.
100%.
And we all know that.
Yeah.
The thing is, we all know that.
But not everyone practices it.
Therefore, yeah.
You gotta practice it.
I don't like it.
How
I don't like
long have
it.
we been going here? Does it tell us?
It does. It's been an hour and 53 minutes.
Holy shit. It's a really long podcast.
It's long.
Oh, this might be my last. Yeah. Okay.
Let's just keep going
We're
because
gonna
then
keep going. So the last
either
thing-
we're gonna publish it or we're gonna edit it. Either way, we did it.
something's being published. Though.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yes, don't you worry. No, we can hit publish right away.
No, you do your thing. I feel like there are tidbits in there that need to be edited.
We're gonna talk.
Okay, so on the opposite, and I want to hear from you. So in your lifetime, I think too, like, let's ignore elementary school years. I don't know how important that is.
Okay.
High
So,
school,
high school plus.
middle importance, adulthood definitely the most important.
Okay.
Have you run into situations where you have someone that you love and you care about that you feel is a true friend who is in a friendship that you just know is not healthy for them? Have you ever run into that?
A friend who's in a... I just want to be clear on the question. So the question is, do I know of a friend...
Have you experienced this? Yes.
And we're talking...
But not an intimate relationship. We've
Right.
all run into situations where we
That's
have a
right.
friend
Okay.
that we know is in a relationship we feel is not the best. But have you experienced that with someone you love, but it's a friendship?
It's a friendship.
I have.
I think I have.
Yeah.
But I want you to go first.
Why? No, okay, so I definitely have. And I think that's a really hard place to be. Right? Because if you're
Totally.
genuine and you're not doing it for reasons that are personal to you in any way, shape, or form, or based on a jealousy or whatever, based on jealousy,
There's different types, though.
yes, it is very difficult because you want to be that positive friend and you don't want to be harping on them and you don't want to create a divide in your friendship. But it's also just like it is hard to watch someone you care about in a significant, intimate relationship with someone being not treated right. It is just as hard to watch that happen in a friendship.
True.
100%. And we ignore this sometimes. And like, I think I know I would say something. So I definitely can think of, if I thought about it deeper, I could probably think of more. But I definitely have a friend who has a friend that they have been friends with for a very long time. And I think it is completely a toxic friendship. And I have definitely said to this person when they have come to me and vented their numerous horror stories about how this person treats them, I have full blown been like, why do you deal with that? Like, I would not. Like, you deserve so much better. Like, this is not okay. This is not healthy. This is not, like, I've said that just like I would in a loving, caring way of someone telling me that their boyfriend's being abusive emotionally. You know what I mean? I'm going to say, like, that's not okay. I've done that. But I find it harder because, like, it's almost like we know it's hard to tell a friend that their relationship, that we're worried about the relationship. Mm-hmm. And if they break up, you got to be careful what you say because they might get back together. We know all that. That's, like, obviously put out there. But the same rules apply in a friendship.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to
You
walk
can't take back what you say.
You can't take back what you
and
say.
it's never forgotten. But you have to mean what you say. And if you mean what you say, then you mean what you say.
One of my most significant sayings that I say in my life, and it's not like a saying I made up, it's a known one, that I think is legit the way we should live every relationship we have. And I've said this to boyfriends, current too, and past. It's that statement of, like, you better mean what you say and say what you mean.
I've never used that, but I certainly will be from now because it matters.
So matters. It's so important. So tell me of a time you can think of that.
So I racked my brain, and unfortunately, whether it's because I am self-involved or not, I can only think of myself. And I can think of how I am friends with a friend who is toxic for me. I've recently, like in the past 2 months, kind of cut ties, but to be honest, a part of me has regretted it. A part of me has questioned. You know, a part of me knows that I'm going to reach out again. So how should one deal with that? Haven't done it yet. Yeah. So it's a woman, and I just worry about her honesty. So it seems like it's a clean slate. Like, oh, you don't trust someone who's dishonest, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I know what friend you're talking about. And I think that, for me, I've always viewed that friendship as, like, I wouldn't even label it a friendship. And I think that's the approach
or like
you
a
gotta
good
go
time
into it.
girl.
That
friend.
is an acquaintance.
Acquaintance. I have to shift
that you have
it
fun
to
with.
an acquaintance, and I've always held it as a friend. I really
Right.
have. I really
But, like,
have.
have you, though? Is this the person you're calling up when you're, like, in a bind and you need something?
Yes.
Oh, that's a problem. You gotta dig into that.
No, yes. Her and I were roommates, and I miss our time together. I miss her. I miss her a lot.
But fun times is different from, real times.
No, we were real roommates last year.
But, like, real in the sense of what? Like
we would open our deepest compartments and share. That's the definition of a friend.
Unless they're a pathological liar and what they're sharing is all baloney.
No, I know, but I know her for 5 years, so I know that, and I know the cusp, and I can trim. I'm a chef. I just shave.
Trim it off.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which that's the issue I have, is like, I shouldn't have to work that hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that. Okay, just cut her off, but I'm telling you that I really actually appreciate her friendship at times. So I don't, even though now, like, I still haven't spoken to her, but, like, I don't wanna.
See, my cutoff, and this might sound harsh,
Yeah.
for what I would consider a true friend.
Yeah.
You know, lots of acquaintances, but what I would consider a true friend is that person I could call at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
who is going to figure out, no matter what, how they can best be there for me in my time of need at 2 a.m.
But you've never called me at 2 a.m.
Because I've never needed you at 2 a.m.
Okay.
But I know
I would be there.
if I needed something at 2 a.m., I could call you
100%.
and you would be there.
4 a.m.
Exactly.
1
You
a.m.
get my point. It doesn't even matter what time it is. It's just the fact that it could be any time.
You need me in there.
So do you view this person as that person?
No, she would not be there for me.
So then I think it's more...
Morning, a good time scenario.
And you can keep
Which
someone...
I can still have that. It's not like I can't have a good time.
But that's it. You can keep someone in your life.
A little bit, but I need some distance right now
Boundaries.
because of for said reasons. Because I hold her a lot closer than I should.
I think that people can create a form of a relationship with everyone on every level that they want to create it. I think that the success rate and how it doesn't negatively impact you or become toxic is being aware of the reality of that relationship and making sure you put that person in that proper box. And not that people should be put in boxes.
No.
But there are
But
people in our
I
lives.
appreciate what you're saying, and I'm well aware and able to do that. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Yeah.
There are people in our lives that maybe aren't our people who are in our corner, our people, that are just like fun friends to hang out with that aren't going to be the ones we're leaning on when we need someone at 4 a.m., but are there to have fun with. But we know who those people are and what boundaries we need to have, right? And I think that the difference is to not allow something to negatively impact your life is you've got to be aware of that and be aware of when you need to step away.
100%.
So that it's not, right? If you stay involved when it starts to negatively impact you, then it becomes toxic.
And then it becomes your fault, too.
And then it
you have
becomes
to
your
take
fault.
responsibility for that. And I'm very careful on where I put my fault.
Right.
Because I want to be accountable. I want to be responsible for what I say and what I do.
For your own shit.
And I don't want to say, like, I will not complain to you, like, I'll just bump it up. I won't complain to you about her 50 times and not change a thing, you know?
What are you doing, crazy girl?
Oh, she's a
So-
little fucking crazy girl.
That goes into more of the research I did. Psychology Today informed me of signs of a toxic friendship. It's kind of what we're talking about,
Yeah.
right?
I know what that looks like. Not asking questions about yourself. Maybe I can guess here, and then we'll see.
Let's
cover
see.
it.
No, I just put you on the spot,
Yeah,
so
you
now
did.
you're like not being
I'm
all
like,
natural.
I can't think of anything.
So yeah, number one is you find yourself in competition with their other best friends. Oh, so that goes back to that's the
Okay.
opposite of the research on a positive, like the
Right.
good friendships, because with them you don't feel it's a competition because you're confident. So this is the
And
opposite.
now, yes, where it's like, oh no, I want to be the better. I want more attention. It's a craving for attention.
Yeah. And it goes back to, I think that you can feel, like I have totally in some of my friendships, when someone else steps in, felt a little bit of like, oh, like, am I losing my spot? Are they going to forget about me? Am I not going
felt
to matter
that.
anymore?
I felt that.
But again, that it's about what you do with it, right?
Yes.
It's, okay, yes, this is how I feel, but if this is adding something
big
good to
deal.
their life.
And frankly, I'm really busy right now, so if that person can give that person what that person needs,
then, yeah, exactly.
then we're all at A-okay.
Exactly. Well, it's like remembering, like, not everything's a reflection on us. I struggle with this in my, like, personal relationship.
It's not
right?
all about you.
Exactly. It's like every move he makes, every emotion he feels, I'm assuming it's all my fault. Like,
That's the greatest thing.
his
we
whole
can
world
quote.
doesn't fucking revolve around me, you know? Like, not everything going on is about me. And yes, that is a good quote. I would agree. There's an imbalance in talk time. All for the friend, none for you. See, as a very talkative person, I find this one teetering on, like, where's the line? Because I feel like I definitely
have to
dominate.
manage it.
I
You have to
dominate our
manage it to
friendship,
make sure it's even.
our conversations. But doesn't need to be fully even.
No, and I didn't mean
Just
between you
share.
and I meant, when I said that, I meant the speaker has to manage the perception of their partners and crew.
Right.
So if you felt like, but then also some people don't give anything,
Yeah.
and that's huge too.
That's
and
what I'm
also,
saying.
if we're in a larger group, I would argue I'm more talkative than you.
If it's a bunch of people I don't know, for sure.
Well, yeah, but I like with strangers, because everyone's a stranger as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So if I am like going whole bar, I just go for it.
Yeah, and me and strangers, I'm
So
quiet.
different. You
I'm
are.
totally
You're
quiet.
like.
I'm
Like,
a whole different
where'd
person.
April go?
Where'd April go?
We're
Yeah.
gonna work on that later.
Yeah.
I think we should, just as for fun.
No, it's so funny. When I first started working at where I'm the manager of now, I remember I started there working part-time nights in relief, and another girl worked part-time nights too, so we worked with each other quite a bit. And we'd probably worked a night shift with each other 4 or 5 times. And then finally, like, I felt comfortable enough to, like, you know, open up and talk. And I remember this night vividly in my mind, and this is quite a few years ago, where I start, like, opening up and we're engaging, and she, like, legit stops at one point, and she looks at me and she's like, I was wondering when I was going to meet the actual April. Like, there you are. Do you know what I mean?
That's cute.
Because I'd been so, like, uncomfortable and quiet this whole time.
because you say nothing, but you have so
much
much
to say.
personality. It's unreal.
Yeah. I never shut up. Yeah.
So that's why, yeah, like, I understand if you don't know people, like, you're very reserved. But I want my personal goal. I want us together. When we go out, I want you to be the first one to, like, break. No, because why not? You have so much to say. Why? I have none. Come on. Where do I get my guts? Come on.
I don't know. I don't have guts. So you clearly got bigger balls than I do.
Oh, I got rose gold balls.
There you go.
They
They're
don't
all
even
fancy.
swing. They're like, "Ugh, I'm so heavy. I can barely move.
Well, they can't swing side to side, but they swing back and forth.
Ah, yeah. That's so gross, but I'm appreciating it because that's what rose gold would do.
I just
Yeah.
picture them as, like, those ones on the trucks. Like, on
Sure,
the hinges
I'm
of
like
the truck.
repulsed by
There's,
I know what you
But-
bless you.
they don't really ever go side to side. They always, like, go back and forth.
Well,
But
that's also how the good ones do.
You just went there. I love it. love it. But anyways, I wanted to say the imbalance of the talk time, it's an iffy thing. I think you gotta like evaluate where the imbalance is coming from.
Yes. And why someone, yes, 100%, which is
Yeah.
why we were kind of.
Because I would say
Different.
unless I'm wrong, I think with us, I don't really ever feel an imbalance in our talk time, but I would say I talk more. So I dominate more of the conversation than you.
I'm okay with that because I think I say a lot with my body language. I'm proud of who I am.
And that's where it
okay.
comes from,
Yeah.
right? Everyone's different. Some of us are more inclined to be more engaging. And sometimes, too, what needs to be understood, which is what people forget, is sometimes it's a coping mechanism from a mental health perspective.
Oh, yeah. I say
So-
way too much when I'm uncomfortable.
So,
Oh, yeah.
people often struggle because you think of extroverts as these, like, super social people, right? But oftentimes an extrovert actually can always feel the need to be on. Right? They're always performing. They're always on. So when they're in a group of people, they're like extra going. And that's actually a coping mechanism for their and
Anxiety,
it's an anxiety.
too.
It's an
Yes.
anxiety issue. So they're coping for their anxiety issue. So they're go, 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 go. So they might be dominating the conversation, but it might not be intentional. It might actually be an anxiety thing. So I'm just saying, again, nothing's black and white. So there are things to take into consideration. But if you look at all these factors and you are experiencing a friendship where one person only ever wants to talk about them and their stuff and what they got going on and they never care about you, that's a sign of a toxic friendship for sure.
And I would bring that to their attention if they deny it and are not willing to accept it, then that tells you flat out that they are not a good friend. They are
Yeah.
not worth your time.
Yeah.
Next.
Because again, you got to treat it like what you would, like, you can't expect less from what you have in a relation, like a friendship. The relationship that is a friendship
Should be just as
to
important.
what you expect in a relationship that is intimate. Right?
Cheers.
So this one goes on to say, number 3 is your best friend blurts out criticisms and self-righteous attitudes. So I'm going to read the bit of blurb because I think, again, this one isn't always as black and white, depending on intent. Intent matters so much. But honesty is important in any relationship. But what happened to kindness? What's this idea about brutal truth being something to aspire to? It's still brutal and damaging.
Oh.
So their point isn't, from what I'm gathering, that it's not about being, sometimes again, it's like, okay, saying critical, that one might actually have a negative context in the definition of it. I'm not totally sure.
I don't think it would.
It probably wouldn't.
I don't think it
imagine
would.
it'd be the same as confrontation, but,
Yeah.
you can be...
I think critical is constructive. I think they
I would
should
agree.
go in the same.
I would agree. And I think that that's part of the difference. It's like, what's the intent? Right? And that's what I say
That's
a lot
the
to
common
people.
line to everything. What is the intent
What is
behind
the
the
intent?
emotion or the emote or the action or the
What you're
speech,
expressing, what you're
anything.
saying. Yeah.
what is the intent?
What is the intent?
That means everything. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. So I think that, you can be, when appropriate and when supportive and critical, as this article says, of your friends. But again, it goes back to your intent. If your intent is to be an asshole, then you're a toxic friend.
Yeah.
And if you feel like your friend is constantly being critical to be an asshole, that's a toxic friend.
And also, I want to elaborate on the idea of critical and to say to critique. Because if you were to critique anything, my immediate definition would be to just slightly adjust it to make it better. It's not that it's negative, but you know what? Oh, I love you so much, but I can see this. If you just do this a little bit better.
Right. Yeah.
That would be a critique. Something critical.
it
but
can also
critical
be a suggestion.
suggestion.
An observation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It opens doors.
Yeah.
Which is different. For sure.
Which would still be tough because you're talking about something intimate. So people honestly, off the guard, have their guard up.
Well, and it's crazy. That's the world we live in now. Everyone's got the guard up because we're so used to sitting behind our cell
little
phones.
screens.
And it's all this kind of conversation, that face-to-face,
The
organic,
thing is, I don't give that any
honest.
clout. Nothing.
We live in a messed up time these days. That's the
Yeah.
point. Where it's like more reasonable to send a text message telling someone how you feel than have the conversation. So it goes on to say who calls whom, which is obvious. Like, no friendship should be one-sided. If you are always the one making contact with the other person and they're never making contact with you, That's not a good sign. Your best friend tells you need to change. That one kind of connects with the initial one, I feel like, with like, you know, being honest or loving you for who you truly are.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. You're walking on eggshells. You should never feel like you're walking on eggshells in a friendship.
No.
Definitely. If you feel like you say the wrong thing, you do the wrong thing, you're not there at the right time, you are there at the right time, blah,
That's
blah,
not
blah,
a friendship.
That's not a friendship. Not at all. We are not in friendships to appease the person that we are with all the time.
No.
No.
Friendships are for support, for
Yeah.
love, for companionship.
And they go both ways. Right? And especially you can't be walking on eggshells like if that person's not giving you anything back.
What's the point?
What's the point? No point. You're just going to waste time, energy, emotions over something that's never going to add anything positive to your life, which is not okay.
Yeah. Good time, please.
Similar to that is you're riding an emotional roller coaster with your friend at the controls.
Well, that kind of, like, that would only happen with you falling apart with all of the other points.
100%.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
The stress starts to settle in your body. Never a good sign. If you are stressed out when you need to call or see a friend,
That's not a friend.
that's not a friend.
That's a chore.
Yeah.
That's
So
a nasty chore. Because I like chores, actually. Chores are okay.
Not ones that add stress to your
No,
body.
that's a nasty chore.
Yeah. And not to say that true friendships aren't going to add stress to your body on occasion, but that stress, in my opinion, should come from like your friend is going through a lot, and that's the way any
take-
relationship works. They're
Take
never
a little bit.
Yeah. In a happy, perfect world, all of our relationships are 50-50, but that's not the reality of it, right? There are going to be times where that needs to shift back and forth depending on what someone's going through. And you might feel exhausted in a friendship when your friend is going through something significant. So you're giving 80 at a time where they can only give 20.
Yeah.
That is different. That is expected. That's expected in friendships, intimate relationships, family
Well,
relationships,
Anything you have to do.
everything. The difference would be like you can't, and again, that might last for a while depending on what your friend's going on. You have someone going through depression, you might be doing the 80.
Or even divorce could last a year or like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. You might be doing the
Years.
80 for a little bit.
Yeah.
But when that person is making no effort to like improve, and you're then going on, okay, I helped them through this and it's still happening, and now it's still happening, and they got other good things going on in their lives, but it's still happening.
Just complaining.
Yeah.
Complaining. Oh, I don't
Not
like
okay.
the complainers.
Not okay. Not okay at all. So this one ends it with a little bit of a thing to food for thought. The end of this article. When you're in a great friendship, it boosts your immune system, but toxic friendships are sickening. While relationships often have ups and downs, if you're on a wild ride, you may want to think about hopping off before you turn green. Friends are supposed to add to your life, not take away from it. And that's a good
Well
point.
said.
And it truly does. Like any negative relationship is not good for you. It'll increase your stress levels, your heart rate. It's just going to make you generally not feel great. And again, that is expected to happen at times in a friendship, but not be normal.
Consistent.
Yeah.
No, it's not something you should deal with on the daily.
That cannot be your norm.
Your friends should be an outlet for your positivity and your happiness, and you're happy to see your friends. And just,
Yeah. 100%.
And if not, no friends. Fine.
No
And then
friends.